Okay.
So thank you so much for joining me today. I'm super excited. You are so special to me. And all your videos on social media really, truly inspire me because you show true dedication and motivation for what you do. So thank you. Café Cubano and
Oh my gosh.
Americano?
I got Americano.
Americano,
Yes.
okay. Okay, so how has your relationship with Christ helped you parent?
So let me give you a little backup.
Yeah.
Growing up, my father is Catholic. My mother is a Baptist.
Okay.
And so growing up, it was a little confusing. We always had Christ in our family. We always had Christ as the center. But sometimes you went to Catholic church and sometimes you went to Northern Baptist church, which is kind of different than Southern Baptist church. And so there was always that foundation in our family. And then as I got into teenage years, I had some hard times.
Yeah.
You know, teenagers were going through a lot of stuff. And I realized as I grew up and got older, and then I had Cordelia, I was a single mom, and I met Christian 8 months after Cordelia was born. We realized very quickly, like, we wanted the standard to be always Christ-focused, and I had found my way back to Christ. I never really, can't really say I was ever really, he was never really with me, you know?
Right. Yeah.
It's so funny, like, the journey is always, is never what you expect it to be. So, but no, so getting back to the question, when Cordelia was born, I was like, well, I know that I want her to have a firm foundation. So if I don't have the firm foundation and I don't show her what it's like to be a woman of God, then she's not going to be a woman of God. And so when I met Christian, he was a follower in Christ. He had recently come back to Christ as well, saying some similar things. He had been recently saved. His parents took us in, and we all lived together, big Italian happy family. And so it was just, you know, his mother and father were like, this is the church that we go to if you guys want to come with us. Christian invited me to church, and I had been praying. It's so funny because I had been praying for a man that was a God-fearing, Christ-following man, and here comes Christian, you know, it's, and so it was pretty easy with the two of us to go, okay, this is the foundation that we want the kids to grow up on and grow up with. We want them to grow up in the church, but not only just grow up in the church, but we want them to grow up knowing and loving God. It's nice to hear the kids in the car go, Mom, can you turn up the music? Because we're listening to The Way, and Lincoln can't hear the music, and he's just like, I just want you to turn up. He said this to me yesterday, actually. He goes, Mom, I just want you to turn up the volume because it's about Jesus.
Oh.
And he looked at me, Mom. And so, you know, it's really important foundation for our family to have that, because he's the center of everything. He's the reason for everything.
So what does your quiet time with God look like in the middle of busy days, juggling work, motherhood, and everything in between?
So I grew up with a lot of music. My mom is very musical. She's very good. She's very good at singing, and she gave me that gift. Very, very much so gave me that gift. And so she got me in choir.
You sing as well?
I did. I don't anymore.
Okay.
That's another conversation for my voice does not do the same thing it used to, and it's kind of sad. It makes me sad. But it's what it is. I mean, we all go through trials, and it's just another blessing in a way.
Yeah.
You know, even the pain is a blessing. And it makes you appreciate the things that God gives you, even if He takes them away from you, or even if you do something to lose it. So, but my quiet time is music. It's always worship music. And the best time is usually in the car, early in the morning, because there's really not much time. I go to school. I teach at a high school here in the county, and I know I can't really say that on this podcast. But because I almost did. but so
we work it very hard to staff
Yes.
Title I schools in the state of Florida. So
we
just so
do.
you know a little bit of background,
Yes.
we have very thick skin.
Yes, we do.
And we always make sure we empower our students,
Yes.
especially our girls.
Oh,
so
yes.
our job is very, very difficult.
Yes, it is. And the school that I just recently transferred to this year has been probably the most challenging
Yeah.
school, and you would not expect it to be the most challenging school of all the schools that we've taught at.
Wow.
But it has been one of the most challenging schools in terms of that kind of thing. I love them all.
Yeah.
But from the moment I get into school, basically in the morning, I'm doing security duty.
Wow.
And then 30 minutes later, class starts.
Yeah.
And so music in the morning kind of gets me going. It gets me being able to like talk to God and, you know, just say, okay, what do you want me to do, God? What do you want for my day today? I'll even, it's crazy. I know people will probably call me crazy, but I let him dictate the way I drive to work. And Christian will tell you that too, and my mother-in-law would tell you that too. And so if I feel a certain way about driving a certain way to work in the morning,
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll just go a different way. I feel like God, the Holy Spirit's going, maybe not that way today.
Yeah.
Maybe
Okay.
I'm trying to tell you something. And
Yeah.
so it's really morning worship music. I don't get much time, and it stinks. You know, I try more in the summertime to do devotionals,
Yeah.
but I don't get much time to do like women's groups or short devotionals by myself. It's almost like there's not enough hours in a day, and you have to find that time to make with God, and it
Right.
all looks different.
Right.
And so I think that people think that, for example, the church is where you have to go,
Right.
or you have to be in the Word 24/7.
Yeah.
Well, me being in the Word is, okay, can I find a video that's going to inspire someone today, that also has a message that speaks to my heart,
Yeah.
may speak to somebody else's heart. So let me see if I can make a video that will speak to someone's heart.
Right.
And so that's a
Yeah.
big one that I do too. That's my time with God. Like, I will make a video and I'll pray on that specific Bible scripture, that Bible verse, pray that it reaches
Yeah.
someone's heart, and that my video helped even one person.
Right.
For me, it's not even about the views. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care about how many people follow me. No one can follow me. I don't care, because it's not about that at the end of the
It
day.
isn't,
It's
exactly.
it's my devotion to God, and so hopefully it plants a seed for other people, though.
Right.
You know, so
Right.
that's a big thing for me. It's music. It's make a video, and hopefully it reaches someone. And but yeah, that's really what I've found the time for, especially in the busy life as
Yeah.
being a mother. You know, and you have 3, right?
4.
4. Oh my God. Yeah,
We're out of the house.
It's like past. It's like, but even still, even if they're out of the house,
I know. I pray for
They-
them even more.
I
now,
know, and-
because I'm not with them. And,
exactly.
You know.
And that scares me.
It's-
That scares me more than having them with me now.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna grow these humans to be able to live in the world,
No.
and hopefully you build them up enough to where they have that firm foundation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we all kind of have fallen on in bad habits
Yeah.
before, right? You know.
Yeah.
But you hope that they have that firm enough
Right.
foundation that they know
Exactly.
who their Lord and Savior is,
Exactly.
and who truly loves them, like
Right. Exactly.
who this is all for,
Right.
You know, because we're this big of a story, you know.
I saw a social media post that said we work very hard. The mothers work very hard so that our kids can leave us, and it's so true. And it just
I know.
it had me crying. I'm like, it is so true.
I know.
We pour our life, our love, everything to our kids,
Yeah.
and then they have to leave us. You know, and then. Like you said, as long as we're planting that seed is so important.
The
you know?
love and God together. It's, you know, I'm not faultless at all. I am not blameless at all. That's the one big thing I always try and tell people. It's like, oh, I'm at fault all the time. I am a flawed human being, and that's
Yeah.
okay. That's
Yeah.
I can't be perfect. And I get mad at the kids, you know. And I love them so much. They frustrate me.
I know.
It's a normal thing. Like, I think that's a big thing in society, that people think it's not it's not supposed to be a thing. You're not supposed to get mad at your kids, or
Yeah.
it's not it's not normal to get mad at your kids.
Yeah.
It's normal. It's a normal thing. It's how you respond to them afterward. Like, you can get mad at them, but you also need to explain.
That's right.
Explain yourself. Explain why you're upset.
Right.
And try to lower the yelling, or try and talk through things with them before you let them get you to that point,
Right.
because they're little kids. They
Yeah.
don't realize.
Yeah, and that's the toughest part, especially when they're little, because they're looking at you and
They're watching everything you do.
they're looking at everything you're doing,
Yes.
everything you're saying, and
They're a sponge.
sometimes you're
They're
like,
a sponge.
let me hold it.
I know, and that's like a big thing. It's like, I got a mouth sometimes, but not in front of the kids. And
Yeah.
I don't even say like
Yeah.
stupid in front of the kids. If I hear a TV show that says that, Lincoln, Cordelia, Teddy, one of them will be like, "Mom
Yeah.
said the S word
Yeah.
on TV," and I'm like, "Oh, okay.
Yep.
Well, we just don't repeat that." "Yeah, I know, Mom. That's a bad word."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Good. At least they know that." Like, and so it's just you try your best to teach them everything
That's all we
possible.
can do. We're
It's like,
human, so we're
yeah,
gonna make mistakes, and
Yeah.
that's all we can do is pray.
And they're gonna pray.
Prayer is
And they're
huge
gonna,
in
they're
my
gonna
life.
make the decisions that they want to make at the end of the day, because they are their own person. But
Right.
you, again, pray that you've raised them well enough to make better decisions, and kind of push the poor decisions to the side. So
So true.
yeah. Oh my God, I love that we're doing this. This is
I
awesome.
love it. Life can feel very overwhelming.
Oh yeah.
So how do you balance the joy, the peace, and your foundations that you're trying to build with your kids?
Yeah. So Christian and I have made it very important that we give the kids separate time. So because three of them together, sometimes one will feel left out. And recently, it's been Cordelia has felt more left out than the boys, which honestly is wild. Because
So she's how old is she?
she's 7.
So you have a 7-year-old, and then you have
And
twin boys.
twin
5-year-olds.
5-year-olds. Yes.
Woo.
Teddy's our son with Spina Bifida. And he cognitively has no issues. There's no issue. It's all the physical.
Okay.
So, I mean, the boys are going to kindergarten this year, and Teddy's still in a pull-up,
Okay,
and so
okay.
we don't know whether he can. For number 2, we have a problem with,
Okay.
and so he needs extra help.
Yeah.
He really does.
Yeah.
He can go on the toilet and go to the bathroom by himself. He can
Yeah.
go pee by himself, but we don't know whether or not he can truly feel it. And the doctors even were like,
Okay.
he might be able to. He might be just being stubborn with you, because
Yeah.
Teddy's our jokester too. I never wanted a middle child, but if one is the middle child, Lincoln is the true youngest. He was born a minute after Teddy. So if there's a true middle child here, Teddy is the middle child, and he's a jokester. He is a funny boy. He's so sweet, but he can get very angry, very quick. He's got the quick fuse,
So what do you do with him, since he's the jokester? Since what is it that
So
you do
with
with him?
Teddy and Christian have a really good relationship with each other, and Teddy and I have a really good relationship with each other. But Teddy and Christian have this language with one another that Lincoln and I have.
Okay.
And part of it has to do with, because I was C-section in Miami.
Yeah.
And I couldn't drive. They were like, "You can't drive. You've been C-sectioned, and
Yeah.
now you have a child that's not even 2 years old up in, our area."
Yeah.
2.5 hours away from Miami, where's just where we live. 2.5 hours away from 3 hours away from Miami, honestly. So Christian took me back home, and Cordelia was here. She wasn't even 2 yet, and then Lincoln had just been born. Lincoln didn't even have to go to NICU. And so the relationship with me and Lincoln and Cordelia is different than the relationship with Teddy and I.
Yeah.
And Christian would go down there almost every single day, or stay overnight.
Yeah.
Because Teddy was in NICU for about 3 months.
Wow, 3 months.
Oh yeah, and then he was graduated NICU, and it wasn't from weight; it was literally from all the surgeries.
Yeah.
And so then he graduated, but then he had to go back within a month because one of the surgeries that they did in his brain didn't take, and so they had to implant a shunt, which is like a drain, because he has hydrocephalus.
Okay.
They had to actually implant a physical shunt into his head, and so he was back in a neurological ward, which was like up right above NICU, for another month. So that was tough. And so Christian just took it upon himself. Like, he's like, I will take care of this. You take care of them. We'll figure it out, you know. And so this relationship that I didn't really get to form with Teddy at first, I feel like in a way sometimes kind of hurt my relationship with him at first, because here's this human I grew for 9 months with his brother, who's also you could tell that Lincoln was feeling that his brother wasn't there. He's a very fussy baby. Ooh. He was very upset. Yeah. Nothing really calmed Lincoln down. But then Teddy comes home, and Lincoln's like, it's almost like Lincoln could breathe again. It's a twin things are weird, you know? I was like, wow, I really didn't really understand the twin thing until you actually see it in real action. But so with me and Teddy, I try and, because Teddy's very limited with certain things he can do, you know? He uses a walker, he uses a wheelchair. And so with Teddy, if he asks me to do something, and he wants to do it so badly, or he wants to go for a drive in the car, like, Teddy asks me for simple things. Teddy doesn't ask me for hard things. I'll just take him. Yeah. You know, he wants to go for a drive in the Explorer. Let's go, Ted. I gotta go to the grocery store anyway. Let's go for a little drive.
That's so nice. What's his real name?
Theodore. He's named after Teddy Roosevelt. And Lincoln's named after Abraham Lincoln.
I've never heard of that. That is awesome.
And Cordelia's named after a story from Shakespeare.
Wow.
With Cordelia, I didn't actually mean to do that. I just wanted to find a beautiful, sweet name, and it meant lion-hearted. Ooh. And again, single mom at the time. I'm like, if you're going to be my kid, you gotta roar, baby. You gotta be a strong kid. And but they're all, it's funny because they're all educational names. I'm like, okay, all right, well, that's fine.
So Teddy likes riding in the cars.
Teddy loves riding the cars. Teddy loves going out and doing things. We just got a dog. A big thing that Teddy does at night is he tells me, I can't sleep. You have just put him down for bed, and he's like, he crawls out. Because, you know, he can't really walk on his own without his orthotics. And he's like, I can't sleep. And he does this every night because he just wants me to hug him. Oh. And so 2 weeks ago, as we were planning on getting a dog for months, and a little backstory on that, 4 years ago, we had to put my dog down. A dog that I had from 2014 on. He was very broken. He ended up biting Teddy. Ooh. He ended up biting Cordelia. He ended up biting Lincoln, all at different points. He's a very broken dog. He was a very sweet dog, but it wasn't a great fit anymore, and we ended up taking him to the vet, and they're like, we have to put him down. He bit multiple kids. He's being very aggressive. He's being very territorial. And unfortunately, they had to put him down, and so I told Christian, I was like, I'm never going to get a dog again, ever. I don't want a dog in this house, ever again. And my mother and father-in-law have a dog, but I was like, we're never getting a dog again. Well, at Christmas time, the kids were asking for a puppy for Christmas, and I was like, never, ever. And Christian looks at me, and he's just like, really? We're gonna punish them for your sadness? And I'm like, you're right. So the chipping away, the little chipping away at me, especially our daughter. That happened over the next couple of months, and Christian looked at Cordelia one day and said, okay, we'll get you a dog. And Christian even says, and when he watches this podcast, because I'm sure he will, or he'll listen to this, he even said, I tried to kick the can down the road for as long as I could. Yeah. And so 2 weeks ago, we ended up getting a dog. Backtrack. Teddy came out of his bed, and he's like, Mom, I can't sleep. I was like, well, buddy, you gotta go to sleep. And he goes, I can't sleep, and started crying. And when the crying starts with Teddy, it takes like 20-30 minutes to get him to stop. And so I was like, listen, you gotta stop crying. I need to show you something. I said, we're gonna go look at dogs tomorrow, so you have to sleep. You have to go to sleep. Now, mind you, Christian and I were just going to go look at dogs.
Yeah.
And Chris goes, now you've told him, now we all really do have to go. And it's not just you and Cordelia.
Yeah.
And I was like, Christian, if Cordelia came with me, we would have a dog regardless. So you might as well just come. Because, you know, it's going to be a little, she's going to just pick the dog. And you're going to be like, well, I didn't even get a chance to pick the dog.
Yeah.
And so I let Teddy look at the website and look through all the dogs. And he landed on a dog that I was like, this dog did not photograph well, or he's not a good looking dog or something. And I'm like, that dog, that's the dog you want? His name's Archie, by the way.
Archie.
We did end up getting this dog. So, and the funniest, craziest thing, and I'm like, oh God, you're so silly.
Yeah.
Is Teddy was like, I love this dog, Mom. I want this dog. He's so sweet. And I said, we'll go look at him tomorrow then. He'll be one of the dogs we look at. And I was never actually planning on looking at that dog, even though they would guilt me into, like,
Yeah.
you love your kids so much, you'll
Yeah.
do anything
Yeah.
for them, right? Like, even if you're like, you're driving me insane, you'll still do anything for them because you love them so much. And so he was the second dog we saw. The first dog we saw, he's very skittish and almost skittish like the way my dog was.
Yeah.
And Chris is like, this is not a good fit. Like, I feel like this dog, even though he's not even going near the kids, he might end up kind of turning on the kids at some point. Just the way he was acting, he wouldn't even go to Christian. So we were like, there's no way. And so then the lady came out with another dog, and she goes, or she hadn't even said it yet. She's like, oh, you want to see Archie? And Christian and I were like, okay. So she left, and I turned and I showed the picture of the dog to Christian. He goes, that dog? He goes, really, that dog? I don't want to see that dog. He's got like a wiry face, and he's so cute. He really is so cute. He photographs terribly. He photographed terribly. We've gotten some great photos of him recently. But anyway, that's the dog that Teddy picked. That dog, the moment he came into this little observation area where we were, he went straight to Chris. And he started loving all over Chris. And Chris is like, this is the dog.
Yeah.
And so we, fast forward, we end up getting the dog. I'm driving to Petco. He's driving the boys home with the dog, who's, by the way, laying his head on Teddy's lap the entire way home. Then Teddy got exactly what he wanted. And I called Christian and I said, hey, just so you know, that dog is the dog that Teddy picked out that he liked the most last night. And he goes, oh my gosh. He goes, such a God. It's such a God thing. It's so funny.
Yeah.
It's just so funny, the little things that God does. And he's just like, see, this was the better pick for you guys. You know, it's, again.
So what does Lincoln like to do?
Lincoln really loves math. He loves to read.
Okay.
He loves playing this game called Geometry Dash. You can build like, it's kind of like techie Temple Run. Do you remember Temple Run?
Yeah, yeah.
Instead of going this way though, you're going sideways.
Oh, okay.
And so he can build the world, and it's, you know, spikes and circle-y things and blocks and all this stuff. And then a guy runs through it, and you have to try and get through. It's basically an obstacle course. And so he loves doing that, and he loves reading. He's very, very good at reading. He's very good at math. And actually, we had a meeting with the kids, soon to be elementary school, the one that Cordelia is currently at, because of Teddy, but also because of Lincoln, because he is very, very smart.
Wow.
And the principal was like, hey, let's read a couple things, Link. And so he had him read a couple of things from, I think, one of the PM3 or PM2, you know, readings. Lincoln read the whole thing. And the principal made it like a game with him, because at first Lincoln was very nervous.
Yeah.
He's never nervous at home, but obviously now you have an audience, and
Right.
you know, so the principal was like, read with me. I'll read the first line, you read the second, and we'll go back and forth. And then it got to a point where he wouldn't even let the principal read anymore. He just kept reading it.
Oh, wow.
And then he gave him some math. And Lincoln can do very high multiplication in his brain
Nice.
without even writing it down.
So he might be your engineer.
Yes, very much so. Like that's Lincoln. We try and get him into sports, but he gets very upset if he's not first place.
Yeah.
So I think that sports will be down the line for him.
Got it.
But I don't necessarily think that that's right now.
Does he like to do specific things with you, just you?
Yeah, so Lincoln, kind of similar with Teddy.
Yeah.
He likes to go do things with me, and he likes to go shopping with me.
Ooh.
Like, he likes to go to the grocery store and try and throw 12,000 things into his cart. I'm like, no,
That's
Lincoln.
always fun.
And I can't, it's hard for me to say no to him.
Yeah.
But he also loves to read with me. Like, we love reading. We all, the whole family, we love reading.
That's
we
awesome.
all read at night.
Yeah.
And, so he likes to read. He likes to play geometry dash with me. Right now, he's going to occupational therapy, so I make a point to take him every Wednesday. Okay. Like, I take him.
Nice.
So that, number one, Christian drops the kids off in the morning, all of them, at different schools, because all three of them went to different schools this year. And then he picks up the boys in the afternoon, and their pickup times are different. And so I like to give him a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
And Lincoln and Christian are very similar human beings. And so sometimes they butt heads. Kind of like Cordelia and I love her so much. She's one of my favorite people in the whole world. But, you know, when someone's just like you, sometimes you butt heads. And so, so I will take Lincoln occupational therapy. He's been very much working through some emotional things. Because even though the IQ is this high, the emotional 5-year-old is still right here. And so I think, and even his occupational therapist agreed that it's such a disparity that it's very confusing for him. Like, I'm this smart, I'm this smart up here, and none of my peers are like this. And it's very frustrating for me, but my emotions are 5-year-old emotions. And so he's like, he just sometimes doesn't know how to deal with it. So we've been working through the emotions when he gets frustrated about things. And so, you know, I make a point to take him to occupational therapy. The boys did karate last year. All of us would go to karate and watch Teddy and Lincoln do their karate. And I think that's good for the boys. We're probably going to start that back up this summer. But I just little small things because we are so busy. And because, like, for me as an educator, and then they're in school, and then Chris is all over too, because he has an extra job on top of our business. So we try and find small moments, even playing a video game with each other, like even playing Nintendo Switch for 20 minutes. You know, it sounds ridiculous, but it's just the little things, like just making a point to listen to the kids talk about the things that they like, even if you don't want to hear it, even if you're too exhausted to hear it, like just turning and looking at them and letting them talk to you. It means so much. It means so many things. So yeah. And Cordelia.
What does she like to do?
Oh, she loves to do everything. She's my artsy one. She's very artsy, very good at reading. She almost got 35 AR points this year. In first grade, right? But then there's these girls that are doing like 50 and 100 AR points, and I'm like, that's 200 books you had to read and get 100 on. Because all these kids, first grade kids, are like half-point books. So anyway, she did a great job this year. She loves reading. She loves art. She loves to sing. She's been dancing for 5 years at a dance studio like 45 minutes from here, because that was the only one that was open during COVID.
Oh, wow.
So that's a studio that we've just continued her with. So I take her to dance every single Saturday. Every Saturday. And after dance every Saturday, we usually go to Target or Tropical Smoothie. Oh, she gets me every time. She's the one of all of them. If we walk into Target, it's dangerous with her, because I'll buy her something. I'm like, oh, you want this outfit? That's fine. And then we come home with like 6 different outfits and like 2 outfits for the boys, and Christian's looking at me like, she got you, didn't she? And I'm like, she would have done the same to you.
I know.
She honestly, with Christian, it's sometimes worse. And he's just, honestly, mostly it's sometimes worse. Because he loves her so much. He's just like, he'll do anything for her. He'll take her on little dates.
I know.
He takes her on little dates to Applebee's.
Oh my gosh.
She loves Applebee's.
And I'm telling you, when she gets older, he's gonna be her rock.
Yeah.
Because
they are.
My Gabby, she's
They're
28. and she confides in her dad things that she wouldn't confide in me,
Oh, yeah.
and she confides in me things that she wouldn't. So
Yeah.
she just has such a good balance. But
Yes.
it starts like that because when she
Yes.
was little, George would take her to all many places.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
she would sucker me in.
And sometimes I'm very hard with her.
Yeah.
And I love my mother. So if my mother ever hears this podcast, Mom, please don't
Judge.
don't take this personally, Mother. I love my mother, but she very much called me a drama queen as a child, and
Were you?
I could definitely be. So I'm not discrediting anything she's saying. But Cordelia is very much like me. And the difference is, though, it's like my mom's, it's funny because my mom would call me a drama queen. And in a way, it kind of made me harder.
Oh.
They taught me to be tough.
Yeah.
They taught me to be tough. So
Yeah.
it's, truly, I love my parents, and it's not really anything against my parents.
Yeah.
But Cordelia and my mother, it's very funny. They have some very similar,
Ooh.
some similarities. And I'm like my mother, I know. But I don't get hurt by things the way my mom can.
Okay.
Because she's a sensitive person, and there's nothing wrong with being sensitive. Again, Mom, if she ever hears this, but Cordelia is very, very much a sensitive person, and so certain things that I cannot handle with her sometimes because I'm like, Cordelia,
Yeah.
it's a fly. Why are you getting? It's over there. Why are we getting upset about the fly, girl? Like, this is not a serious thing. Christian will come behind her and it's okay, it's all right. There was something that happened the other day. Can I say the communication this year with her teacher, though her teacher is wonderful, I think maybe just in general education's overwhelmed, right? So I'm trying to be as PC as humanly possible. Her teacher hasn't been as communicative as her kindergarten teacher was.
Okay.
Her kindergarten teacher was wonderful.
Yep.
Her first grade teacher is wonderful too. But Cordelia used to get like little flyers that came home. This is what's going on every single day of the week. And then even the school calendar would say everything that was going on for every single grade last year. But even the school calendar isn't really saying that. So it's not even just her teacher. It's just transitions, right? So she had to dress a certain way on, I think, Monday. She didn't, or she did, and then she got out of the car and she saw that nobody else was dressed that way.
Okay.
It was first grade had like a PJ day, they had a PJ day, and she starts freaking out, and Christian is like, Cordelia, it's going to be okay. Your mom knows you're supposed to wear this. You even told her. She looked online to make sure. I did. I had to scour the internet for where this other calendar was. It was like a secret calendar. I'm like, anyway, so he goes, it's okay. You have PJ day, which they did. They did have PJ day. It was only for first grade, and that's the reason why all the other grades were dressed differently. So when we got home that afternoon, Chris was trying to address it with her. Like, listen, your mom knows. And she's like, don't tell Mom. I'm around the corner in the other room, so I can hear it. And I was like, don't tell me what. And Christian goes, well. And she goes, no, don't tell Mom. And so they had this little relationship that, honestly, he ended up telling me. But I was like, Cordelia, I'm not mad at you. Don't get upset, so... but yeah, our big thing is we go to dance, we do shopping in the afternoon. I wake her up early in the morning to do her hair. She asks me to wake her up early in the morning. I'll wake her up at 5:30 in the morning because I have to leave school by 6.
Yeah.
And she'll get up for me. She'll get dressed.
Yeah.
She just wants me to do her hair. Christian can do her hair wonderfully. Like, he does a great job, but it's just your mom.
Yeah.
You want your mom to do your hair. And he's like, I know. Like, she wants you to do your hair. Like, just do it, So little things I try and do.
Yeah.
If I can wake them all up in the morning, I'll be the one. I'll try and wake them all up.
Yeah.
Usually it's Chris to get the boys up, but recently with the dog, I try and help him get the boys up, and they really like it that I'm like waking them up first.
Right. So if you could go back and encourage yourself during a hard season of motherhood, what would you say?
It's going to get better. You're not going to be alone forever. And so...
What do you mean by alone? What do you mean by that?
So, with Cordelia, I mean, you knew me. I think you knew me before I met Christian.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I was single and pregnant. I had a roommate that taught with me at the school we worked at. But I was single and pregnant. I had gone through a really hard time right before it. I got pregnant with Cordelia. But it was funny because years prior, I have multiple sclerosis. So I had a stint of really bad medical issues right at the beginning of being diagnosed in my early 20s. And at 23, I was student teaching, spring of 2013. It was 22, 23. I was living in Michigan with my grandmother because I student taught in the town that she lived in. The idea was so that I could help her with my grandfather, but my grandfather actually passed away like 5 months prior to that. And so I was still going to student teach there. I still wanted to spend time with her. And so within the first like month of student teaching, so it was like January, February, I had a seizure in church. Oh yeah. I never had a seizure before in my life. Wow. I had two within an hour. I went to the bathroom. All of a sudden, it almost felt like that 70s show, like everything was sucking out into a thought, like into a dream or something. And I was like, I need to get back to my seat. That's all I could think to myself. Like, I need to get back to my grandmother. I need to get back to my seat. And so I very quickly left the bathroom, got back to my seat. My grandmother said she watched almost as if I was stepping down a set of stairs into the pew, and I just tanked face first on the ground, and I started seizing. Divine intervention. Neurosurgeon was right behind me.
Wow.
And he's like, she's having a seizure. Someone call 911. I was in the hospital and had a second one, and then my mother ended up coming up to Michigan for a couple of weeks to help out because I was a shell of myself after that point. And now, mind you, I had been a Bible study leader in college. I really came back to Christ in college, which is not usually a place people come back to Christ.
The other way around.
Yeah, I came back to Christ in college. I had been going through a really hard time my freshman year of college, and then I found a really good core group of friends. Some of them were actually my roommates, and I ended up being a Bible study leader sophomore year and doing a lot of things. I joined a co-ed fraternity. And I would work all the parties that they had, and because I didn't drink, and I'd walk people home because I felt like that was what I need. That God was calling me to go into the hard places, go into the places that people are like would judge me for, but God and Jesus did that same thing. He talked to everybody. He helped everyone, you know. So I felt like I was being very much called to do that, and so fast forward, 23 in a hospital bed. My mom is there, and I said, I don't know why I need to tell you this, but by the time I'm 28, I'll have a child, and God is telling me that I will have a child, and I don't care how it happens, it's going to happen, and it did, and so you know I had gone through a hard time before that, and then I ended up getting pregnant with Cordelia, and that person's not in Cordelia's life. It's best for her. We don't lie to her about that. But the thing I would tell myself is it gets better. It will get better. You won't be alone forever. You're not alone. You're not alone. You have God. My mom, it's very funny because my mom's situation was very similar. And again, Mom, if you ever hear this, I love you very much, so don't get upset with me. But my parents didn't tell me that I was not my dad, the one I talk about. They didn't tell me I wasn't my dad's child until I was 9. And they didn't really tell me. Like, one of my family members just kind of outed my parents. And didn't give my dad or my mother the chance to actually have that conversation with me. But for me, it was sad and upsetting because I love my father, but it was it was like kind of a relief. Like, I felt different. I looked different. You know, it was like my brother had a different last name than me, but I'm a 9-year-old that doesn't realize.
Right.
You know, I have 3 different grandmothers.
Yeah.
And my brother doesn't. You know, so and my mom was 19, turning 20, had me, left my biological father, a very abusive situation. And then she met my dad within a year and a half, a year maybe. And my dad got pregnant with my brother very quickly. My brother's not even 2 years younger than me. And then our next siblings came a while after. But yeah, you know, so it's almost funny that I'm like, again, it's such a God thing. God's like, hey, you're gonna have to find a way to maneuver a similar situation that your mom and dad had to maneuver, and maybe they didn't maneuver it in the same way that you would maneuver it in, so let's figure out a different way. So we don't lie to her. She doesn't necessarily understand, but she does understand that it was mommy and Cordelia first, and that God loved us so much that he gave us dad.
Right.
And that dad wasn't always there. That this is not the dad that was originally supposed to be. And so that's something that we try and, you know, we don't ever try and lie to her about. I was broken. I was a broken 9-year-old. I was a broken 10-year-old, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old, you know. I just wanted to have that relationship with my dad. And again, I love him very much. That relationship is not the relationship that I see with Christian and Cordelia. And so, you know, I feel like God was always telling me, like, it's going to get better. And that's what I would tell moms, is that it will get better, especially if you put your faith in God. It's something that it's like, it's a hard thing to sometimes really talk about, because I don't ever want to make my family feel a certain way about how I felt, but it was a hard time, and I always look back on that, and even in my teens, I would be like, I never do that to my kid. I never not tell my child the truth.
So that has made you a stronger parent.
It has definitely made me a stronger parent, and it makes me reevaluate how I speak to the kids.
Right.
Again, my parents never swore in front of us either. Like, that was a big thing. Like, my parents did not swear in front of us. They really didn't. I mean, you know, every once in a while you make a mistake and you say something. And of course, my parents can make mistakes, but they never swore in front of us. Like, that was a big thing. Take the kids to church, get them involved in church activities. But, like, you know, it just have that firm foundation. Have a group of friends around you. And now I have that too. I do. We did have a Bible study group last year who were not in that same Bible study anymore. All of us have kind of been pulled apart with different things going on. We actually had a friend that got married very recently, and that was really, really cute. And they're starting their own thing, which is awesome. And then I have another friend that's kind of on the outskirts with the church that she's with. She's like, I'm trying to kind of figure out what I want to do, where I want to go. And everybody's just kind of being taken in different places, but we still all have a group chat, Bomb Ladies group chat. Shout out to Bomb Ladies group chat.
That's awesome.
We like chat each other up on Bomb Ladies, and but it's just like find that foundation. You know, it's
Now I know, you know, we're really focusing on mothers and building relationship with the mothers and their children, but I love that you mentioned Christian a lot, because I don't talk about the man in my life, the father of my kids, George, which I love very much. But I feel like, how do you feel about Christian as the dad, right, of your kids?
I know.
Because this is a partnership. Like, there's no way I could be who I am without him. And, you know, we did this together. You know what I mean? Although I only speak about the mom part, but tell me a little bit about the importance of Christian in your life and as the father of your children.
So, it was not always easy, and it's never going to always be easy. Like, life ebbs and flows, right? And, you know, so especially during COVID, having newborn twins, one with a serious medical issue, and then having a child who's almost exactly the same age as them. For example, during COVID, it was a really hard go with things with Chris and I, because, you know, we had been dating since 2018. Then we got married in 2020, the day before the country shut down. And he has always been my rock. Since we started dating, since the moment he met Cordelia, I said, just so you know, we're a package deal. Like, you need to love her before you love me, kind of thing, you know? And he's like, well, that's good, because I already do. So, you know, it's... Yeah. So with him and her, like, they were instantly, like, they went off like gangbusters with each other. They loved each other. Yeah. They and that was perfect, because Chris does have 3 daughters that live in New York with their mother and doesn't really get to see them. And so, you know, it doesn't necessarily fill the void of what he misses with his daughters, but he sees this little girl who just needs a dad to love her. Yeah. And he's just like, wow, I'll be that for her. I want to be that for her. Like, he wanted to be that for her before he wanted to be with me, you know, and that's what I want. That's what I wanted. And so that makes you more in love with the man you're with. Absolutely. You know, regardless. And so, oh God, I can say so many things about Chris. He's gonna see this and he's gonna be like, oh, you're such a dork. But he is truly my rock. Especially, again, I'll go back to having MS, like, and that's a blessing in disguise too. And people have gotten very upset with me in the past when I've said that it's a blessing from God that I have MS, because it changed my whole viewpoint on life. Yeah. You know, 20 years old, day before your 21st birthday, you're diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Yeah. And you're basically given a death sentence, by the way. Wow. It is not a death sentence. Yeah. I'm not even on medication, and I was told I wouldn't be walking at 30 years old. Wow. And you saw me walk in here, so perfectly fine. But no, so with Chris, it's just he senses my feelings. He can tell when I don't feel good. Yeah. He is constantly just coming beside me and supporting me in everything I do, bodybuilding, running, teaching. If I want to, I've been playing around with the idea of going back to school and getting a law degree. Wow. Or going back into ed leadership, which I'm like, I don't even know if I really want to do another degree. I have 2 already, and you have 3? Yeah. Yeah. 4. It's 4. It's like... It's counting, like, right? It's like, oh my gosh, what's my return on investment? Yes. What is my return on investment? He's like, I'll support you in anything you do. Yeah. And so that was a big thing. Is anybody who's ever come before Christian has never been a teammate. They've always been a cheerleader from the sides. And I don't want a cheerleader. Right. I don't. Right. I want a teammate that comes beside me and supports me and always gets my gas and always takes the trash out. Simple things. Like, you know, he'll laugh at that too, because I will let the gas go down to almost E. And I do that too, actually. I hate putting Chris will send me like little. He won't get angry with me through text message or anything. He won't even get angry with me face to face, but he'll be like, Brittany, you're gonna ruin our cars. Yeah. You need to fill up the gas tank. So, but he just, I mean, ebbs and flows for sure. Yeah. We have those, but it's always at the end of the day, we always come back to each other. Yeah. We always lay in bed together and we'll talk about things, or he'll just ask me if he can read some scripture. He did that the other night. He was like, hey, can I read some of the scripture? Sure. Wow. Read scripture. I want to hear it. Yeah, I'm standing here. I'd love to hear it. Like, he's reading the Bible. He's like, do you mind if I read it out? You don't even need to ask me. Wow. Just read it. Awesome. But the foundation of God in our life with each other, even if we're going through a rough couple of months with one another, because it happens. Like, you love your spouse. Sometimes you don't always like them. You know, it's a normal thing. Yeah. We're human beings. Yeah. And so, I mean, we frustrate each other, but I love him. I look at him with more love today than even yesterday, than the day before. Like, I love him more now than I think I loved the moment and I had a crush on him, by the way, for a month before he even noticed me. And I was like, is this guy gonna ever notice me? Hello, I'm here. Yeah, hi, I'm in the gym. I had to be like right next to him. Yeah. And then at that point, I was so frustrated. I was like, this kid is not noticing me at all. This guy is not noticing me at all. I'm like, I don't even care if he says anything. I did care, but that whole story, meeting each other, is funny too. But yeah, like
That's awesome.
you know, it's just
Yeah.
it's just he is so good with the kids, and he's such a strong father figure. He loves them too at the same time, and you know, it's hard to find that balance.
Right.
It's hard to find a man like that, especially when you're in your late 20s. You know, it's not always easy to find someone, or I mean, I really wasn't even looking for him, other than the fact that I did have a crush on him. But it's not easy to find that person
Yeah.
that you want to spend the rest of your life with, let alone in your late 20s.
Yeah.
And for him, it was in his late 30s, and so when we met each other, it was like, this is not real. Like, this isn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just strong
That's
father
awesome.
figure, great man. He's God-fearing. He loves talking to the kids about the Bible.
Aw.
He loves praying over the kids, and they ask him to pray over them. Like, they don't ask me that, and that's fine.
Okay.
I'm not a prayer warrior.
Okay.
My husband is the prayer warrior. I am not that. I am an acts and services kind of person. I will go do things for people.
Yeah.
I will spend my time giving up to other people. I love doing that. I am not a prayer warrior,
Yeah.
and he is. He beautiful,
Awesome.
and the kids love it, and Cordelia especially.
That's
She's just like, Dad, will you pray for me every
Yeah.
night? Lincoln will ask too. Teddy will ask. You know.
That's
So.
awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you for sharing
Yeah,
that.
you're welcome.
So one of the biggest questions that I get on social media
Yeah.
from my mommies are, how do I connect with my kid? They're shutting down on me.
Oh,
Yes. What would a good advice be for some of those mommies that are just not connecting with their kid? And it's hard because some of them, they're teenagers already, and a lot of this is foundational issues that should have been kind of
Dealt with.
addressed when they're growing up.
Yeah.
So once they're teenagers and they're shutting down on you, what would be some advice you can give some moms and how can they can connect with their kids?
Okay, so perspective of the teenager I was.
Yeah.
If my parents, and again, I
Yeah.
love my parents very much, but at a point in my teenage years, I really was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
We are not communicating
Yeah.
at all. I love my dad. We would go months without talking.
Yeah.
And my dad just kind of gave up.
Yeah.
But show interest in what I like.
Okay.
And so I was a distance runner
Right.
all through high school, all through college. I coach now.
Yeah.
I've been coaching for 13, 14 years.
Yeah.
But a big thing is like, just try and connect
Okay.
with me. Try and
Yeah.
connect with the things that I like.
Right.
Even if it seems so dumb
Yeah.
to you as a parent, it means so much. And if my parents had just come to more of my track meets.
Yeah.
My dad was a runner. My dad is a phenomenal runner. Now he's in his 60s and he
Yeah.
doesn't really run anymore. But if my dad had gone on runs with me and actually fostered that, like the way he fostered
Yeah.
basketball with my sister.
Right.
She's a phenomenal basketball player. She plays at a big university up north.
Wow.
She
awesome.
very D1 Big East University. That's all I'll say.
Wow.
But my dad and her had that foundation.
Yeah.
And so with Bridget, it was easy for my parents with Bridget
Yeah.
because Bridget had that foundation, and sometimes it takes a couple
Yeah.
of kids for that
Yeah.
to happen with.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to not let that happen
Right.
with my three. So really, it's taking an interest in what they like.
Right. I love that.
Singing with them.
Yeah.
It's playing
Yeah.
Life is a Highway 1,000 times in one day, 17 different versions because Teddy asked you to.
Aw.
It's coloring with the kids.
Yeah.
It's stopping and watching Geometry Dash with Lincoln because he wants you to watch it. It's Cordelia taking an interest in some music or a dance that she just learned and asking you to watch her or dance it with her. Even if you're terrible at it and you don't even know what's going on with the dance. But it's those things.
Yeah.
It's find that thing, and if you're a teenager, it's a
Yeah.
similar thing. As an educator, same thing.
Yeah.
When we first start teaching a class, it doesn't always go off the way you
Right,
expect it to.
right,
At the
right.
beginning of every single year
Yeah.
is a completely different animal,
Yeah.
right? And so, and I teach teenagers, and there's some that seem to be really hard, but they're not. It's like a Cadbury egg.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, there is a gooey center, and just want you to pay attention and take some interest. And
so being intentional, super important.
yes, very much so. And oftentimes these are a problem. Cell phones have really detached people from each other, and so I make a point to do this and step away from that and I could probably make a point to take a step away from it even more and just focus on the kids. But like even with Cordelia, I press her. And she sometimes gets irritated with me, and Teddy very much gets irritated with me when I press him about it. But how was your day at school? I want to know what happened. Is anybody bothering you at school? Are you? Did you have a math? Like, how'd your math test go? Did you make up with that friend, or did I'm sorry, I think there's like a gnat. But like, what are you interested in? What do you want to do this summer? Lincoln's planning his birthday party for him and Teddy, and it's in October. He's telling me all the things I'm doing, and I'm like, okay, are we planning this together, or have you already booked it? You know, it's just taking an interest in your kids, even if they're that age, because it's never too late. I will say it is never too late. You can always get them back. Because they do love you. They're us. They came from us. They want that relationship, even if they act like they don't.
So. I love that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Of
I'm
course.
so honored.
I know. I love you so
sure.
much. So
This is great. We're done.
beautiful.
Yippee!
And I get to read this book now. I'm so excited.
It's all yours. And you know what? I wrote so many things here that you mentioned.
Oh my gosh.
Teach them something new. Write a gratitude. Be present in the moment. So,
Yes, write a gratitude. Oh, that's another thing we do. Oh my God, write a gratitude. Look, Chris writes the kids, for example, he writes them, not just in gratitude, but he writes them notes every single morning.
Oh.
I did it at the beginning of the year, and then I got a little tired.
Okay,
and
so he writes some notes, put them in the lunchbox?
Chris took it all over the second half of the year, and then Lincoln went and said to him, Dad, what is this note? Basically, it's weak.
Oh.
Chris goes, I don't need to write you notes anymore. He goes, no, Dad. I just want you to put math questions in them.
Oh, wow.
Math questions.
Love him.
I just need you to add a math equation in there for me to do.
Wow.
And I'll do it for you,
love
Dad.
that.
And he started, after that, he started inserting all of his notes in this front little pocket of his lunchbox that my husband had written for him.
I love that.
It's just all little things. The littlest things are what matter the most, And so, even if you think it's dumb or that it won't make any impact, it really makes an impact. So,
thank you. Because I think it's so important, the relationship with mothers and their kids. And they need to really work on it and be intentional, because that's what our kids need. And that's what we see in schools that the kids are lacking.
Make that watermelon lemonade that they asked you to make.
Just do it.
Like,
I just did a dumb TikTok video with my son because he wanted me to, and he's old and out of the house. But I did it because I wanted to make him happy.
Yes. I know.
And one day you'll be by yourself with Christian, and you'll be missing all those moments.
I know. Take him to that terrible resort that you took him to a year ago. But they want to go back to
loved it, but you hated it so
bad.